This by far was up there with the top 2 worst things that I've had to do in this house. It was so frustrating. So the lights are laid out, if you look, in thirds. From a third here, a third between the lights, a third between that wall and that light. And it just so happens that those thirds are the same thirds that they used for all of their plaster joint blocking that they put in there. So if it wasn't hard enough to have to, saw through plaster, I had to saw through a 2x6 as well. At every single, I only had to do 6 holes, and every single freaking hole had blocking behind it. But I was ready. Oh, I was ready. This here, this is the super Sawzall. This one, you don't see things like this around. So I bought this years ago and have used it like twice because it's absurd. You don't even really need a Sawzall that's this strong. Here's an example. A typical house circuit is 15 amps. This Sawzall draws 14.5 amps, which means that you can trip your breaker if this is the only thing that is its power. That whole circuit can be tripped just by this one saw being turned on. I mean, I don't know if you can see it here. Look at this. But the lights. The lights flicker when this bad boy comes on. The only one that I've ever seen that is more badass than this is the one where it's basically this one. They just made the handle bigger for firefighters, so that way they can use it to cut through walls to get in people's houses. I have taken this thing, like I said, I've only used it a couple times because it's never necessary. But this time it was really necessary. The only other time I ever used it, I was cutting down a wall that was similar to this one, and the thing is so strong that you can take it and you can walk and cut. At the pace that you walk, you can cut through a wall. Wires, drywall, studs, throw an awesome blade in it, and you can just walk and cut through a whole wall with it. So, yeah, these holes didn't know what was coming. I mean, I tore it up. It was still frustrating, but it's done. The hard part is done. Like I said, probably in the top 2 most frustrating, dirty, dusty, had to wear a mask, had to wear goggles, had to wear gloves, but it's done. And I'll have all this recessed lighting. If the plaster comes down because I cut through that blocking, well, when it's falling down on my head, I'm gonna say, let there be light.